The reason you need to have Dasani and Aquafina, those are two of the most predominant waters that are in the whole aisle. Everybody is familiar with that. Not only that, but those are two reverse osmosis waters. And so when someone says, well, I have reverse osmosis, then you can simply say, we have that represented, Dasani and Aquafina. The next water you want to have representation, and you want your waters to go from bad to worse, right to left. So you start off Dasani, Aquafina, you would go
like store-bought.
Whatever, exactly, Costco, Voss, Arrowhead, and then the last waters you want, are Fiji and Avion, because those are actually the worst. Because why? Because they're the ones that sit in the bottle the longest, and they're the ones that have the most leaching of the materials. Then you want to go from bad to worse again, which is why you start off with Pellegrino, and then you go to Gatorade, and after Gatorade you go to soda. So and then you want to go to the water. Then you want to go back to tap water, because you want to be able, because there's some people that still drink tap water. Plus, our source is tap water, so you want to have tap water and then Kangen. Okay? Now, so there's the psychology and the why behind why it goes from bad to worse, then it starts again bad to worse, and then it starts bad to worse. Okay? Now, what I've been doing lately is also bringing vodka, because you want people to understand some people are not going to give up their alcohol. You want to make the point that the alcohol is different than these chemical synthetic drinks, and you want to show the acidity of the alcohol, but how Kangen can still offset the acidity in alcohol because it's organic. Okay, so so people, if you notice in the presentations, what's the one thing everybody does when you pour the alcohol and you turn it? They go, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you. No, they say thank you. They're happy because, dang, at least I can still have my drink.
Yeah.
That is the point.
Yeah.
You want them to know we're not saying you can't drink anything. What we're saying is you need to stay away from the chemicals. That's the most important thing. Okay, so there is the most important part of how you set this whole thing up. Now, in terms of your waters, the other things that you want to have that I put up here is I always put like 3 or 4, 5 cups right there. Why? Because that triggers me to remember I'm going from waters to hydration. Okay, you know, when I go to the tea, and I always put a tea bag right here, and then what else do I put in here? I put my drops, and I stand up my little stirrer. So I've got everything right there, and then right here I have two more cups, and what do I use? Or 4 cups. What do I use those for? Tomatoes. Yep. 2 cups for the tomatoes, 2 cups for the oil. So everything is set up so that what's happening is I'm triggering in my mind where I want to go so that I don't forget something, because I've been known to forget. Then you want to have these out here. You want to have these in front, off to the side, because there's not enough room. So you want to have these off to the side. Your Kangen water, your 11.5, where's your 2.5? This is good, but don't I need a big 2.5 so I can shake it and go through that? Why do I do that? Because as much participation as I can get from the audience, what are we trying to invoke? All 5 senses.
Yeah.
That's why the tomatoes, I want you to taste, hear, touch, smell, feel. The more senses that you can get involved in the presentation, you guys gotta understand, this presentation doesn't come off just there's thought that has gone into how this presentation and why it's so effective when it's delivered properly. Because it's thought out from a psychological and an emotional. We get you emotionally involved. When you see this do this, the first thing you gotta think is, I don't know, or you see the yellow stuff come off the tomatoes, the first emotion should be, how do I get them how do I get them to understand how important this is? Because I say, would you like this? And they say, no, but you're giving it to your family every day. Bam, I got them.
Right.
All this, you guys, all this stuff is planned. All this stuff has been, I've written down my presentation. Don't think that you can do this presentation without writing it out, word verbatim. You're faking the funk. And if you fake the funk, it ain't gonna ever come off. And you're never gonna build a group and a team that's gonna follow you. Because you can't produce a predictable result. This demo creates a predictable result. That's why I was willing to do a presentation for one person when you told me, no, she's a player. Okay? And she proved to be exactly, I know you're credible, and she proved to be a player. She did 5 sales in one day. When you get people like that, you better know what you're talking about so that you can produce a predictable result. That's what the demo is supposed to do. It's supposed to, when we had the last demo at your house, predictable results. People that already had already bought were sold again, weren't they?
Yes.
And now sold on, I need to be taking this to other people. I didn't want to do the business, but how can I hold this information to myself and not share it with others? Why? Because I built a story in the beginning that said, this is what I do. You've got to create, sometimes you may have to be self-deprecating. You may have to pick pot shots at yourself and tell where you did things wrong. Why? That makes you human. That makes you believable. That makes you credible. That makes you just like me.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes. Does that make sense? So, whenever you start thinking about this demo, don't think about this demo as I'm delivering information. No, I'm producing a predictable result. And the outcome I'm looking for is whoever is the person that is the player, I need that person to say, I want to be involved in that. I want to be a part of that. I see the benefits of what this does. How can I get this to my family? And I was saying this to Neil earlier, guys, we got to start understanding that this is life and death.
It is.
What we're dealing with is life and death. Health is wealth. And if we start seeing it that way, we will create value in that type of way. And we will build, that's not just a $4,000 device, it's a life-altering device. And so we've got to come at it from that mindset. Okay? Questions?
Now, you last time we did the demo, you had said that from now on, we should also get the Pedialyte.
We should start getting
Because
Pedialyte.
a lot of
Because
young-
hospitals, exactly. Thanks, Lupe.
And then young parents
Yes.
too, you know.
Pedialyte is excellent because Pedialyte is what they give to patients in the hospital. And it's the absolute worst. It's as bad as soda and Gatorade.
This is bothers the judge, the baby.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mothers are giving that to their babies. And it's actually increasing the acidity, which is giving birth to all other types of, it's giving birth to all types of other problems.
Yeah.
Alcohol, which one do you use?
I use just any vodka.
Okay.
Any vodka.
Gin.
Gin's cool. Anybody else? Okay, so remember, you gotta have the 2.5, you gotta have the 2.5 in this. You wanna have the 6.0 in this, but you also wanna have the 11.5 in a different container, just in case you wanna incorporate the lotion technique. Okay? So remember, the 11.5 creates like a lotion type feel
Oh,
once
right.
it cleanses.
Question.
So, yes.
So regarding like the 11.5 and the 2.5, when should we bottle them? That day?
You
that
should
the
bottle the
demo?
2.5 and the 11 point. The 2.5 is fine to bottle the same day. The 11.5 must be bottled at least 72 hours prior to the demo. Slow flow, 11.5, 3 days prior to the demo
And
for
tested.
maximum.
And tested,
Yeah, and tested for maximum effect.
just with the
Take a
oil.
little oil and you emulsify
It's
it.
the first time I
Oh,
ever did it.
okay.
Why?
It happened.
Yeah, I did.
Nobody told you
No.
that. Wow.
Because it's stronger, the 11.5
It gets
is
strong, it
stronger?
accelerates, yeah, the
Oh,
11.5
okay.
and 2.5 accelerate. The 2.5 will lose, you've gotta check your 2.5 if you put it in a big container.
Yes.
Because it can potentially lose its
Mine
smell.
doesn't.
Sometimes it
Mine
doesn't.
does.
It depends on the type of container
What
that you
container
use.
do you
The
have?
dark one.
If you're using this one, it will lose its container. There are some different polyurethane, type containers, and I'll show you. These have a tendency to hold the scent. For whatever reason, I don't know what this material is, but for the 2.5, it will hold it.
Yes, it does.
It will hold it.
The other one.
It will hold it.
The clear jugs hold 2.5 better than the little black plastic one does.
Not better than that
Not having tried that
one.
one.
Yeah, that one and the other one, the square style
square one is
gallon
good.
at Ion Faucet is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I have completely gone to those because they're like $3.50 and they are
Square?
phenomenal. They're like real.
Yeah.
You know the one that I have that has Young Hustler on it?
I'll have to get it.
Yeah, I've got a video.
Rectangular.
Yeah, it's rectangular. Thank you. Okay, so I'm trying to think setup. Now, second thing, when you introduce, and I'm going to introduce each one of them. When you introduce, you are setting the stage. I know you guys don't know this, but when you present the individual that's presenting, you're trying to build their credibility. Edify. That's your job, is to make the presenter edify to the people so they know this person that's presenting this is the person you want to listen to. That's why they always have me at Ion Faucet. When we go to Ion Faucet, Dirk, will you, because I've been taught how to properly edify. I know enough about most of the people that are the presenters, and so I will highlight certain things. Now, once I highlight and edify you, the one thing that you want to do most important is you want to bring yourself back down to the group. That's why I always say, I'm just like you guys. And as a matter of fact, my objective here is just to make sure that you don't miss it the way that I missed it. Let me give you a little background behind my story. See, I actually was involved in it. I should have been involved in this 2 years prior. Why do I know that? Because I've done it over and over. And I can go to any part of my presentation at any point in time. And that's when you're a professional. When you can go, when somebody can throw something at you and you can have a trigger that puts you back in frame where you can go back to where it is you need to be. The most important thing I can say to you is remember this. As the presenter, you hold everyone's money in your hand.
Yep.
If you F this up, and y'all know I don't curse, but if you F it up, you have just screwed up everybody's money. And ain't nobody coming to see you present. I remember when there used to be 1 and 2 people at my demos. Because I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And I didn't deliver it worth a damn. And so as a result, wasn't nobody coming to see. Ain't nobody coming to see somebody that don't know what they're talking about. And if you do somehow slip through the cracks, it will be once and one time only. Because you as the presenter hold everyone's money in your hand. So it is a weighty proposition, owning the floor and taking the floor. But that's the place that you want to be. Because that's the person that's at the front of the room is the person probably making the most money. Unless he's made it back to the back of the room and his people are at the front doing the presentation. That's ultimately where you want. You want to work yourself to the front, from the front all the way to the back. My job now is to work my way back to the back and to let you guys be up front and take the mantle. Because our people already know I can present, and and call me and ask me to present. Now I want them to start asking, hey, when is Lupita coming? Where's Terry at? Where's Britt? Can Britton? Can Carlita? Can Neil? Is Marlena? Is Karen? What are your group? When people start asking when are you presenting next, that's when you know you made it.
Succeed.
You succeeded. You're in there, and that's the goal. All right. So this mock demo, treat this like it's very important. This is where I got my jumping off stool. The reason why I do this and I place and I think this to me is more important than a demo, because if it hadn't been for a mock demo, I would never have gotten to the point. I had my whole team come over to the house. We came over to the house, we broke bread, and I was trying to weasel out of it. And they said, no, we came here for a demo. You're gonna do it. So I did the mock demo. After I did the mock demo, it was kind of silence. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't good. And here's what I told them. I said, guys, I understand that wasn't real good, but here's my promise to you. I will work on this, and I will get this done. And when I do, you'll be proud. I promise you that. That's what I promised to my group. And the only thing I can remember being in front of Danny, and I had 3 or 4 demos, and they all went horrible. I mean, horrible. And I said, Danny, how do you do this? And you just make it seem so effortless. I said, man, this is, and he said, Dirk, he said, the teacher has failed more times than the student will try. The teacher has failed more times than the student will try. When he told me that, it let me know that he had fallen, and that the only way to get up and stand is to keep falling. What does a baby do? A baby wants to, boom, they're all over the place, right there, all over the place, falling. Do they ever stop? When do they stop? Will you ever let them stop falling? No, they have to fall in order to do what? Walk. In order to walk. And you gotta keep falling if you're ever gonna walk. So here's my advice. Keep falling. Tonight is the first one. Set up the next one. Then set up the next one. I applaud you, bro, because you had way more courage than I ever had. You got up and with minimal information, you just said, I'm gonna do it. And you did it, and you keep doing it. And you're gonna keep making mistakes, but it's great because you don't care. And people like you. And people like you.
Very like care.
First, actually, I've been studying about alkaline water since 2012. So this added to what I already knew. So before I got up, and I spent like ever since June. So since day one, from June to my first demo, I have probably studied every day for about 4 hours.
Wow.
It's fun too, though.
Oh, every day I was about 4 hours. First I took a picture of Clefada Durham. I watched. First, I've been following for a minute. For a second. I've been working with leaders for a minute, so I know how to follow. I know how to look, I know what to look for, I know how to ask questions. I've been a question I ask you all the time. So when he set up, boom, took a picture. I always saw the setup, so I followed it. I did nothing except what I saw him do. So I just take a picture. Okay, we got that set up. I set it up just like he set it up.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I watched how Danny did his. The biggest lesson that Danny ever taught me was I was going to a presentation. Danny was going to do the presentation. I was responsible for the setup. Danny shows up and does it. He shows up with his own waters, but he shows up. He ain't bringing all this. Okay, you got to bring all that. But he shows up, and I show up without the presentation, and that was my responsibility. He didn't look at me funny. He didn't raise his voice. He said, Dirk, it's no problem. He said, we got it. He said, whatever happens, we got this. We'll take care of it. Doesn't matter. If you get one, fine. If you don't, you don't. You know what that said to me? He knew his presentation backwards and forward. He was a professional. He knew no matter what. And it was funny, we were at a demo, and Ryan happened to be at the demo. It was at La Crema. And Ryan was looking at his watch. Danny was doing like this. I said, Ryan, what are you doing? He said, I'm looking. He said, it's 7.5 minutes between now and when I need to be up there, because Danny, 7.5 minutes from this point, he's always at the money part. His presentation is like this. That taught me and told me this man knows his presentation backwards and forwards, which means that he's written it out and he's practiced it. He knows what he's going to say on every slide. Your job, whatever slide, the slides are not there for you to read from. Don't ever read from your slides. Don't ever let me see you reading from your slide. That, you and I will have a problem if I ever see you guys reading from the slide. If you notice, there's one time I read from the slide, and I make it a point to tell the people, this is the only time I'm going to read. Those slides are what? They are a help.
Visual.
They are a visual cue. You should know, based on when that slide shows up, bam, what you're going to go into. You should already have your transition from what you're already talking about to that next. That's preparation. That's professionalism. We don't wing stuff.
Right.
So don't get up here trying to wing it. Again, why? Because you have everybody's money in your hand. So don't wing. Make sure you study. All right?
See, that would have been a really good first mock demo session. What we're doing now.
No, this is a really good mock demo session for you guys to actually do the demo. That's a really good mock demo session. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to actually do the mock demo. I didn't want to do the mock demo because it was bad. But guess what? Your next demo is going to be better than your last one, which is going to be better than the last one. But you'll never get to the next one until you do the first one. So you've got to get to that mock demo, and you've got to move forward on and on and on. And you can relax. You can rest assured that after your 10th demo, you will still feel jitters, but you will be more prepared, and those jitters will serve as a conduit to get you up and ready. And your people are depending on you. You know, that's what drives me more than anything. It's not the money, it's not the success. It's that when you call me to your house and you need me to talk in front of your people, you have placed trust in me, and you have said, I am willing to put my people that I know, love, and care about in your hands, and I'm asking and believing that you will deliver. Please deliver. That's what you're asking me to do.
Right.
And that's what every person on the team is asking each of us to do. Please be studied. Please deliver a presentation that will help my people see what I saw. Whether it was Danny or whoever, help me see what I should see. Cool? All right, so hit the stop on that.